Reparations we will not receive, but redemption is for the elect. I want to give all the honor, glory, and praise to YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, QADASH. Double honor to the elders of Great Millstone, taught me this truth. Peace and blessings be to all the sincere men, women, and children that consist of the 1/3. And peace and blessings be to the confused in the faces in the four corners of the earth. Shalom, shalom. Articles from February 25th, 2022. The Washington Post. Supporters say they have the votes in the House to pass a reparations bill after years of lobbying. And once again, here we go. Our people wanting to get reparations for slavery, hardcore bondage. But the 2/3 of our people, they don't understand why we went into slavery. Because we're the Hebrew Israelites. The Lord made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our forefathers. We're the only people on the earth that fit under the curses of the Hebrew Israelites. So-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. But all the heathen nations want to cleave unto our heritage. Like people like to say in the world, and if you have children listening, cover their ears. Everybody want to be a nigga, but they don't want to be a nigga. They like to emulate our spirit, but they don't want to go through what we've been through. Pardon me. Right? So they don't want to go through what we've been through. Now I'm going to go down here in this article a little bit. I'm going to leave the link of the article in the description box. All right. It goes on to say the bill H.R. 40 calls for a lengthy study of reparations. Supporters say they need Biden to act now so his administration can implement the commission's recommendations before the end of his term. The White House did not respond to multiple requests for a comment on the legislation or whether Biden would consider an executive order. And if you read the article for yourself, you'll come to find out that they've been speaking about reparations for 30 plus years. Right here, quote, "This has been a 30 plus year journey," unquote, said Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrat of Texas. See, you had to wait 30 years, right? Well, all it took was a pandemic, and they passed a bill for Asians in America. Remember that? After the Holocaust, did not they give them the land, them a law, a hate law, right? And these people have not been through what we've been through. They have their reparations. They have their representatives in the international courts. Hell, even in their domestic courts. Who represents the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American at the G20 summit? Huh? We're not a part of the EU. We're not a part of NATO, right? Because all nations had a part in our slavery. Little do our people know. That's why they got their reparation. They're heathens. A heathen is anyone that's not of the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? Matter of fact, let me get that really quick. Now, this is in the Apocrypha, a part of the 1611 King James Version Bible. This is 1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 9. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? Because whenever we was in captivity, the heathens will always reign supreme over us. This time, we went into captivity halfway across the world. Not under the Egyptians, not under the Assyrians, not under the Medes or the Persians, Shushan Palace. Not even under Greco-Romans from back in the day, where we was over there in our land. Now we've been taken over by ESAU, EDOM, who was the Greco-Romans, but we're going to leave it at that for, edification's sake. The so-called white man, woman, and child are the same people that was ruling during the time of the Herodian dynasty. And we are the same Jews that was there back then during that time. It wasn't Edomite against Edomite, no. So, to go to show you more curses that we fit, that no one else has fit on the earth, this is Isaiah chapter 52, verse 1. Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. What does it mean to put on thy strength and the beautiful garments? Well, as of right now, that would be wisdom. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Really girding ourselves for war, spiritual warfare. A helmet of salvation, girding our loins with truth, the shield of faith, and the word being our sword. But it says to put on the beautiful garments because right now we're in a time of mourning. That's why we wear sackcloth out to camp. And when it says the uncircumcised and the unclean, that would be the heathen nations. Why? Because they're not under the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Verse 2, shake thyself from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. What does it mean, shake thyself from the dust? Well, if you ever went through a alley or like a dirt road if you're in the country, if you're behind a car and that car is hitting it, all that dust, all that sand, dirt, all that's going to be kicked up on your windshield in your face, and you're going to be blind. In other words, confused on where you're going. We've been confused for the longest. The Lord's telling us to shake the dust off and get up, right? From all this confusion. We know who we are now. Verse 3, for thus saith the Lord, YAHAWAH, ye have sold yourselves for naught, and ye shall be redeemed without money. So we were sold for nothing, stolen, shipped halfway across the world, all over the world at that. Having confusion of faces now, Hebrew Israelites looking like Chinamen, Hebrew Israelites looking like Arabs, looking like the Jewish today, looking like every nation on the earth. Why? Because we've been scattered to the four winds of the earth. But we were sold for nothing, but we shall be redeemed without money. So reparations is not going to help us. And on top of that, Jake won reparations when the dollar's being devalued. Wow, really? And on top of that, just because they give us, let's say they do give us reparations, they still have to be accounted for what they've done to us as a nation. Ecclesiastes 3:15, that which have been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. No amount of money is going to save Esau Edom from getting his judgment. None. Verse 16, listen to this. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. Notice it said under the sun the place of judgment. Judgment does not occur after you die. You rest and you come back again, reincarnation. And your judgment is brought here on earth. Like the Bible says, when has the innocent ever perished? So if you see a child that's 5 years old get run over by a dump truck, who was that child in the past life? When Adolf Hitler was born, I'm just using for an example so people can understand. When Adolf Hitler was born as a child, no one thought he was going to be a dictator like that, right? So let's get back to it. So knowing that the Lord is going to require that which is past, that means you're not exempt from judgment. All right. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 10. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Yahawah. Because Jacob's trouble is coming. A lot of evil is coming to America, saith the Lord. Neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land. Not reparations. The Lord will save us. The Lord put us here because of our wrongdoings. The Lord is going to take us out because of his mercy, his blessing, and his promise to our forefathers. For I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. But Salakia, forgive me. I apologize. I skipped some verses. Let me go back up. Jeremiah 30 and 10, where I left off at. I apologize. And Jacob shall return and shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. All right, continuing on verse 11. For I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. For thus saith Yahweh, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. What the hell would reparations do for us as a people? We can't even come together at a so-called cookout or barbecue without a fight breaking out or bullets flying. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not, for I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy. This is the Lord's doing. That's why the Lord said, pride had deceived thee in the book of Obadiah to Esau. They really thought that it was just them coming out of the Caucasus Mountains, the caves, during the Renaissance era, marrying to the royal family, marrying us out, putting us into captivity, ruling damn near the whole world, and now you think you think a generation gonna continue on forever? No, the Lord wounded us with the wound of an enemy because He used you, Esau, as His sword, with the chastisement of a cruel one. Exactly. For the multitude of thy iniquity, because thy sins were increased. So why did the Lord have us go through these treacherous trials and tribulations? Because we continue to increase in sin. And the Lord was right to do that. Because the scripture says, despise not the chastening of the Lord, because the Lord chasteneth who He loveth. Verse 15, why criest thou for thy affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity. Because thy sins were increased, I have done these things unto thee. So reparation is not going to save us. The Lord said, listen, I put you there. And the same people you want to get reparations from, it's the same people I used against you. I'm going to redeem you. I'm going to save you. Verse 16, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. That's why we don't want no reparations. We want salvation. And that comes to the condemnation of all you heathen nations. And that just rolled off the tongue. I wasn't even trying to rhyme. It's just a spirit. Okay? Now, close out precepts. 1 Peter chapter 1. Verse 18, for as much as ye know that ye were not redeemed with corruptible things, as silver and gold, see, reparations ain't gonna do, from your vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of Mashiach, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you, why? Who by him do believe in God, that raised him up from the dead and gave him glory, that your father and hope might be, that your faith and hope might be in God. Pardon me for stumbling over my words. I had class this morning, been jogging and stuff, still trying to get my brain back right. But close our precepts. Revelation 13:9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. This is why reparations just won't do. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. With that being said, pray was edified and fed. Stay in the spirit. Don't fear it, just endure it. Ask for forgiveness. Pray without ceasing. Stay humble. Remain diligent. Come, mashallah. Mufla babal. Shalom.